Welcome back to Bridge to Self, guys. I'm your host, Ben Arthur. So I went down a bit of a rabbit hole on TikTok. So I decided to search second generation Black immigrants just to see what I would find out. The main thing that came on my feed was just a lot of second generation Africans talking about how disconnected that they felt from their African roots. And so specifically the teenage children of African immigrants growing up in the US, talking about being disconnected from their parents' country and that culture, whether it was feeling too American or not really being able to speak the language. A lot of them even talked about kind of a reduction in the immersion of that culture from the time they were very little to like becoming teenagers. And I just felt that on so many levels. Like, it reminded me so much of my childhood, just that hurt of being disconnected from the heritage in many ways. Like, for me, for those that don't know me, it's Ghanaian culture. And so and it's so hurtful because like you're disconnected from it, but you do feel a level of pride in it, in that cultural heritage of where kind of your parents come from. That does exist even if you were born or at least raised in the US. And so that kind of brings me to this idea, like the tremendous power of assimilation, because of the media were around, the societal factors that were around, cultural expectations, all these different factors and whatnot. Because of it, I think you can become so ingratiated in the Americanness that that connection to your heritage can become even more disconnected or muddy than it already was because of like who you are. I don't know if that connection can be completely severed as a second gen kid, but I think you could be so lost to the heritage of like that country, to the culture of your parents' country, to a point to where like you only relate to the dominant culture of what you're around, like in my case being in the US. And so I think being a second gen kid, especially in the African diasporic lens, I think there's a level of intentionality that has to exist for that culture to survive. Like, I think a lot about how much is on me to make sure that cultural heritage is preserved in my bloodline, because as a second gen kid, like when I do have my kids, and if I'm not giving them those Ghanaian morals, traditions, values, food, experiences, whatever, it's just going to go to the wayside, and they're just going to be American. And I cannot live with myself if that happens. I'd feel a profound shame because of that. And so I think for me, just even in my kind of micro life, like that means going to Ghana as much as possible, connecting with extended family as much as possible, really picking my mom's brain about like the traditional dishes she makes, even really learning about the history and culture of Ghana from different sources and entities, not just family and friends, just so I can develop my own opinions. So to tie all this up, I think the balance between the maintenance of your cultural heritage as a like a second gen kid, as a second gen black kid, and dealing with assimilation, it comes down to personal choice. Like, I'm choosing that that association to Ghanaian culture is going to be there now and moving forward. Someone else in my shoes, another second gen African, may come up with a different decision, and that's okay. But I think the biggest thing is understanding the ramifications of that choice, not just the choice itself. Everything has a cost. So that'll do it for this week's episode. Every other Wednesday at 5 p.m. Central Time. Be sure to tap in with me for the next episode. Appreciate you guys for all the support and love as always. So until next time, I'll see you guys soon. All right. Peace out.